Hello, Danny Crane. Welcome back to TIS-100. Today we're going to look at the Signal Pattern Detector. This one, I freely admit, is a pain in the butt. It took me a long time to figure it out, and I'll show you why here. We're going to get these values coming in from the input, and we're looking for a 1, and then a 5, and then a 4 on each cycle. When we see that pattern come through, once we get that 4, we output a 1, and then every other time we have to output a 0. And that checks each time, so it's going to check this one, is that a 4, and we're the previous two a 5 and a 1, and it's going to check this one, and so on. And it's really tough to figure this out originally. I found a solution that works. What we're going to do is we're going to have this box down here check to see if it was a 1. This one's going to check to see if it was a 5. This one's going to check to see if it was a 4. So we have it in the right order, and when the number we're looking for is correct, we're going to output a 1 to this block, and when the number we're looking for is not there, we're going to output a 0. And all of those values are going to get added up into this final block, and when we get 3, that means that each one of these was correct, and we can output a 1, and every other result we're going to output a 0. So we're going to start down here with the last block in the chain. This one's going to check to see if the value was equal to 1. First thing we have to do is get that value down here. So we're going to move the up to the down up here, and then we're going to move up to the down like that. Then we're going to start with this one here. We're going to start with our A label, and we're going to move the up value to the accumulator. And remember, this one we're testing to see if it's equal to 1, so we're going to subtract 1 from it. Now when we subtract 1, if it is a 1, we're going to get a 0, and every other possibility of the number that comes down is going to give us something other than 0. So we want to test if it was not equal to 0, that means we have the incorrect value, so we're going to have it jump down to no. If it is the correct value, it's going to skip past this, and all we have to do is move a 1 to the right, and then we're going to jump back to the start, jump back to A. Now when we get something other than 0 after our test, we have to output a 0 to this block, so we're just going to move a 0 to the right, and then it's going to jump back up and start the test all over again. And that's it for this block. This block is going to be testing the second value, so we actually have to get a second value down from up here to start the whole thing. And then we can go ahead and start this block. So we'll go ahead and again start with A on this one, and we're going to do kind of the same thing. We're going to move the up value to the accumulator. Now this time we're going to subtract 5, because this is going to be our test to see if this was a 5 or not. And again, jump if it's not equal to 0 to no. When we do get a 0, we want to move a 1 to the right, just like that, and then we're going to jump to a special little thing here. We're going to jump to B. Now for our no, when the value is not correct, we're going to move a 0 to the right. And that's all we have to do for that one. Now for the B label, what we need to do is undo the subtraction that we just did, because we want that same value, whatever it happened to be, going down here. And all we have to do is add 5 to it, and then we're going to move the accumulated value down, and then we want it to jump back up to A to start the test again. So we're just going to do jump to A, just like that. And that's all we have to do for this one. So this one's checking to see if it was a 5, and then it's going to undo that and then send this down, so this can check to see if it was a 1. And we're going to do the same thing up here. So we can actually copy this, because this doesn't change on this particular one. We'll send it down here. The only thing that changes is we're not testing for a 5, we're testing for a 4, and then we have to undo that with this right here. So now all of these are going to output a 0 or a 1 if the number was right or wrong. And all we have to do is add those together and see if they equal a 3. So over here, we're just going to move the left value down. That's all it has to do. This one is going to move the left value to the accumulator. It's going to add what's above it, and then it's going to move the accumulated value down. So on this last one here, this is what's actually going to be doing the rest of the work. Now, with the way we're testing it, the first two numbers are always going to be 0, regardless of whatever they are. And we're not really worried about those as far as the test is concerned, so we just have to write 0 down, move 0 down, just like that. And then here's where we're going to actually start the rest of the testing to see if the third value and above are equal to 3 or something else. If they're equal to 3, we're going to output a 1. So what we're going to do first is we're going to move the up value to the accumulator, and then we're going to add the left to it. So now this number's, if it's a 3, we want to output a 1. So we need to check to see if that's a 3. So we're going to subtract 3 from it. And again, if it equals 3, we're going to get a 0. So we're going to jump, if it's not equal to 0, to no. When it is equal to 0, we're going to move a 1 down. And then it's going to jump back up to our A label here because we don't need to worry about those first two. So we're going to jump back to A. And then when it's a no, when it doesn't equal 0, we just have to move a 0 down and then jump back to A again. And that's it. That's actually all you have to do for this one. So we'll go ahead and start stepping through it here. The first value we get in is a 1. This one's going to send it down. This is going to send it down here, and then this one's going to check it to see if it's a 1. We get the 5 coming in. It's going to move it down to here and check it. Now this first one was a 1, so we got a 0. It's going to move 1 over to the right. And this one was a 5, so it's going to also move a 1 over here because we already have our 0. Now this one is a 1 again, so we should get a 0 on this arrow coming out of here. So we'll see here. We'll step it again. It dropped right down. We get our 0. This is moving the 1, and this is moving the 1. This adds it all together. There's the add. We get a 2. We're going to subtract 3 minus 1. Outputs a 0. So we can step through. You can see here's one where on this 4 we are going to have a 1 coming out because we did get our pattern. So we'll step through again. Here's the 5 coming in, and then there's the 4. We'll get these all sent down. So it's got to do all the other testing here first. Now it jumps back up to A. It gets the 4, subtracts it. We get a 0 here. Now these two have already done their test. And you see we tested and we got the right response here. We got the right response here. This one got the right response as well. It sends a 1 over. That sends it down. Now we get a 3. And it outputs our 1. So we can go ahead and let it play out. And you can see every time it sees a 1 and then a 5 and then a 4, it outputs that 1 just like we're supposed to on the 4. And then every other time it outputs a 0. So it's just about done. Now one thing that threw me off with this one is the pattern's not always the same every time. So sometimes you can run this test with a bit of code and it'll work, and then other times it won't. I see a lot of people on the forums have that issue. I don't know if they've changed that or not. I actually haven't checked it recently, but you can see this one kind of all over the place. I'm using the same number of nodes as pretty much everybody else. Somebody figured out how to do it with a couple less nodes, which is amazing. Pretty much the same instruction count as the majority of people out there, but a little slower than most people. So that is how you do the Signal Pattern Detector. I'll see you next time.